Okay, so this video is going to be a quick overview about the different parts of the eye. So first off, we're going to start off with the cornea, and this is the outermost layer of the eye. So if you were to touch your eye right now, this is what you would be touching, the cornea, or the outermost layer, and it helps with protection and how much light regulates or gets into the eye. But basically that's what the cornea is. And now the pupil is going to be the hole or small opening in the eye that regulates how much light enters the eye so we can see things, right? So pupil, you can think like a pothole, so it's a small hole in the eye, and that is controlled by the iris. So the iris is the colored muscle around the eye. So if you think like iris, like the flower, and people with blue eyes, this is the colored muscle that's surrounding the pupil that's in the eye, and that it actually regulates the size of the pupil opening. So for example, if we were in darkness, we would need more light to see, so the iris is going to make the pupil bigger. And if we were in the sun, we want that pupil to constrict because we don't need that much light, right? So the iris is going to help the pupil constrict in that certain situation. And then we move on to the lens. So the lens is going to help focus the light. Focus light. As we can see in this image here, if we're looking at an image of a candle, it helps focuses that light into the retina or the back of the eye. And fun fact, it actually flips that image before going to the brain to be transduced, and then that image will get flipped around to what you would normally see. But the image actually gets flipped around in the eye in that whole process. And then moving on to the retina. So the retina is the back layer of cells in the eye, and it contains a lot of sensory receptors. So if you've ever heard of visual transduction, this is where energy or the light is transduced, and it's transduced into neural information that travels along the optic nerve and goes to the brain, and that way we can see an image. So light hits the back of the retina, and then that information is translated into an image once it goes to our brain, so we can actually see things. So the retina is just the back layer of cells that contains a lot of sensory receptors like rods and cones. Now the fovea is this small depression in the back of the retina that is the point of central focus. So one important thing to remember about the fovea is that it contains most of our eye's cones. So again, talking about the sensory receptors, rods and cones, the fovea contains most of the cones, and it is also the point of central focus. So whatever you're looking at, so if you were looking at this area right here right now, this would be hitting your fovea. The light would be hitting your fovea in the back of the retina, because that is the point of your central focus. So here we have the optic nerve. The optic nerve is the nerve formed by ganglion cell axons, and that travels to the brain. So light hits the back of the retina, right, and that information travels along the optic nerve and goes to the brain, so it can be translated into an image. And then lastly, we have this right here, which is our blind spot. So this is the area where the optic nerve actually enters the eye. And basically what it describes, the blind spot describes that if light hits this area right here in the back of our eye, we will actually not be able to see it because there are no receptors to translate that information there. So there's no receptors to translate that information to the brain into an image, so therefore we have that blind spot, and if light hits there, we won't be able to see. So this was a basic overview of the different parts of the eyes. Thanks for watching.